What's up guys? Today I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks to help you out against the Veil demons. This is going to be a pretty basic guide, so I'll only be going over the base classes. Don't forget that the demons can also change up their abilities similar to the way the heroes can. But enough of that, let's get into it. So our first demon we're going to take a look at is the Chaosweaver. Now the way the Chaosweaver works is it likes to place a ton of large AoEs on top of people or set them as traps that when you walk over them, they activate. So the first thing that you can do against the Chaosweaver is you can take a talent that prevents breaches from being placed on top of you within 5 meters. They can still place them on the ground so you can walk into them, but it's a huge help that they can't just drop them right on top of you. Now, you also don't want to stack up because again, if you don't have that talent and they can place one breach on top of you or someone on your team doesn't have the talent, they can kind of try to get value in hitting multiple of you. So try to stay a little bit spread. Finally, make sure you use your dodge charges wisely because if you walk into one of the traps on the ground, you're really going to want to be able to shift out of it. So you don't want to be wasting them. Let's move on to our second demon. We have the Worldshaper. Now the Worldshaper is a little bit similar to the Chaosweaver. It likes to lay traps on the ground and get you caught in them or put them directly on you. So again, having the talent that keeps it so that breaches can't be placed directly on top of you is really strong. Now, as opposed to the Chaosweaver where you kind of wanted to stay a little bit split up, it helps a little bit to stay stacked with the Worldshaper. The reason for this is they like to put up a cage that you can kill. So while you're stuck inside of it, if your whole party's nearby, the cage will die faster. Now, to kill those cages, you're going to want to bring impact damage. I made another video where I talked about that, so make sure you check that out. But as long as you're bringing a battle or a hedge class, their auto attacks come with impact. There's a ton of other abilities as well that'll help you break yourself out. So moving on to our third demon, we have the Dark Artificer. Now, the Dark Artificer is currently what I'm playing in this video, and you can see you can put the totems in tons of spots all across the map. Again though, they are considered structures, so like the Worldshaper, if you bring impact damage, it'll help out a ton. Especially if you bring the Mana Warrior, its charge ability can really help reach hard to get to areas. Now, the biggest thing you can do with the Dark Artificer is simply communicate. Now, obviously you should be communicating against all the demons, but especially against the Dark Artificer, they really like to pull you off into a corner by yourself and pile on a bunch of totems that slow you and damage you and then wall you off from your team. If you're communicating with your team, then they know to come over and help you and you don't get stuck there trying to kill it all by yourself. Also, you want to bring ranged damage, at least one, whether it's a tech or an arcane, because as you can see here, you can put the totems in really hard to reach spots, and there's even spots where melee can't get to the totems at all. So if you have a tech class, they can take out the totems without having to simply deal with them the whole time. So, moving on to the next class, we have the Taskmaster. Now the idea behind the Taskmaster is they're looking to overwhelm you with the monsters in the dungeon. So the first thing they're going to do is their right click puts a kind of reticle above your head. What this does is it'll signal to all the mobs in the dungeon to attack you. So ideally you want to be a little bit tankier of a team comp or pay attention to who gets it on their head and then have all the mobs funnel through the team so that you can kill them all quickly. Or you can even have them run around and kite all the mobs. But make sure you're paying attention to who gets that above their head. The Taskmaster can also put a sort of living bomb on a minion, and when the minion dies, it'll explode, dealing AoE damage. Very, very, very big AoE damage around them. So you want to be careful. Remember, if you're about to kill a mob, either have a dodge roll or back up, stand further away from it. So maybe bring a couple more range classes against them. Finally, their third ability is an immunity that they can put on a mob, but not only does it make the mob immune to damage and CC, it'll reflect the damage you deal back to it. So be really careful if you have a long channeled ability or a hard hitting attack that you're not going to do it into an immunity or it's really telegraphed so they can do it against you. Moving on to our fifth demon, we have the Soulfiend. Now the Soulfiend really likes to possess the elites or even just the regular mobs. The biggest counter you can bring against a Soulfiend is an Exorcist or a Chronomancer. What this does is the Exorcist can expel the demon out of the mob and remove the possession and prevent them from repossessing the mob for a period of time. The Chronomancer can slow down the mob and make their actions really, really slow, making it almost impossible for them to attack. Now the Soulfiend can take a talent at level 4 that prevents both of these, but it's still a long ways off till 4. So you can do it basically the whole dungeon, and then forcing them to take a different talent at level 4 is really strong. You want to bring any kind of CC you have against the Soulfiend. Stuns, roots, slows, whatever you got. You want to control the elites they're trying to possess. The other thing you can bring is a Nighthawk or an Oros Gladiator. They're really good at keeping mobs in the air and constantly juggling them. Now, the Soulfiend can escape the juggle, but if you stay on top of them and you're constantly keeping them in the air, they're going to run out of dodge charges quickly and allow you to lock them down and get them killed. The third thing is Grailheart. Now the way this ability works is it'll channel a beam to one of the mobs and it'll make that mob completely immune until the heart is killed. So always keep your eyes open for a beam connecting to a mob and trace that back to the source and get that killed. It's also a structure, so impact damage will do more to it. It doesn't have a ton of health, but make sure you're keeping an eye out for it. Our final demon we're going to go over is the Veil Shifter. Now, the Veil Shifter can be a little tricky, but the biggest thing they're looking to do is they're just going to litter each room with mines everywhere. Now, it looks very intimidating, but in fact, the mines don't really do that much damage on their own. It's about 500 damage, unless you're running through multiple at once. The damage will stack up and it'll start hitting you really hard. But don't be afraid to just run over one mine and get it out of the way. That being said, you can also dodge roll through the mines, completely negating the damage while still getting rid of the mine as well. So make sure you take some dodge roll talents, whether it's extra dodge rolls or, my favorite, when you dodge roll, you get an extended iframe afterwards, meaning you can run through even more mines by detonating them and not taking any damage. They will try to blind you. The blind it's not super strong, but it can be really annoying if they constantly blind you. You can see a little bit in front of you, so make sure you stick together with your group. If you see other people around you, you know you're in a safe area and you know you're okay and they can guide you around. Finally, they have a large bubble similar to the Elementalist bubble where it stops range damage. So don't stack heavy range against them like a hedge class, tech, arcane. Be really careful with that. You want to bring a little bit more melee to the mix so that they can't just put a bubble on top of something and prevent you from getting in and out. So that's it. Like I said, it's a very basic guide. It doesn't have all the counters available, but I just wanted to let people know some of the easier ways to handle some of the demons. If you guys have any counters of your own, or you want to discuss some strategies on how to counter them, leave them down in the comment section below or stop on by my stream and I'm always glad to talk about it. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.